Good morning, everybody. I welcome you all to this webinar. The topic for this online session is practical aspects of GST preparation and filing of returns. So let us start with our today's agenda. Our agenda for this session is digital tax administration system, GST returns and filing process, GST reports in 3 simple steps, GST reports preparation, and in the end we'll have a small question and answer session in which, in case you have any queries or questions, you can please ask. I'll try to answer all your queries. Let us start with digital tax administration system. Recently there was a news in the media that invoice level data will be matched in GST to check various kinds of frauds which have been happening. So this gave jitters to many professionals also as well as taxpayers, and they started wondering what kind of system has been implemented which can check these kind of frauds. So we will have a small discussion on what kind of system government is introducing to check or control these kind of frauds. Now on your screens you have the diagram which shows GST system architecture. So here you can see taxpayers application in the form of local ERP, standalone or accounting softwares, Excel based systems on which the taxpayer is preparing his accounts. So from there the data of sales register and purchase register will be exported to compliance software, and compliance software will prepare the GST returns which it will upload to GSP portal, and from GSP portal it will go to GST server, and same way from GSP portal it will download the data, match it with the data which is lying in the accounting system, and then confirm the returns. So this I will discuss in more detail in one of the slides later, so I am restricting myself to this much discussion only. Now digital tax administration system which is being introduced by the government is totally digitized. Here all the business processes in the tax administration supply chain are being digitized. So the effect of this will be that starting from the filing of return, all the returns will be filed electronically on GST portal. Then there is e-accounting, means electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger and electronic liability ledger will be maintained for every taxpayer at GST portal. Then there will be e-matching of data. Government will have various tools like data mining and other tools for matching of data between supplier and the buyer. When there is a matching of data between supplier and the buyer, the assessment will also be made automatically by the system, and this is the point where digital disruption comes into play. See, when the government has suppliers data, all the sales data with it in the system, government can calculate your tax liability even if the taxpayer has not filed the return. So that is the beauty of this system. And second important aspect will be that taxpayer will get a very little time to cross-check or verify the data which it's downloading from the GSP portal with its own accounting system. Now digital disruption is not something new. It has already happened in many cases. Here some of the examples you can see on your screens. Like today, world's largest taxi company owns no taxi, Uber. Largest accommodation provider owns no real estate, Airbnb. Similarly, largest phone companies owns no telecom infrastructure. So now with these examples, let us see how this digital disruption can affect. One is tax compliance, which I've already told that even if the taxpayer has not filed the return, government will have all the suppliers data, and based on that data government can calculate his tax liabilities, send him a notice of assessment along with a penalty notice for tax evasion. Second will be, there will be in effect, I am starting from the beginning in case due to some interruption somebody, if somebody is not able to hear me properly. Good morning friends, I welcome you all to this webinar on practical aspects of GST preparation and filing of returns. Friends, our agenda for today's session is digital tax administration system, GST returns and filing process, GST reports in 3 steps, then GST reports preparation, and in the end we'll have a question and answer session. Let us start with digital tax administration system, which the government is planning to introduce with the GST. Recently there was a news in the media that invoice level data will be matched in GST to check various kinds of frauds which are happening today. This gave jitters to many taxpayers as well as practitioners. They started wondering what kind of system the government is trying to introduce, which will have a mechanism which will control all these kind of frauds. So now let us have a look at the GST system architecture. Now on your screens you can see the diagram of system architecture. We have taxpayers application which includes local ERP, SAP, standalone accounting system, customized accounting applications, Excel based systems which are today preparing the accounts for the taxpayer. From these accounting systems, the data of sales register and purchase register will be exported to compliance software. Compliance software will prepare the return and upload the data again in CSV or Excel format to GST portal. From there it will travel to GST server. Similarly, compliance software will download the data from GST portal, match it with the accounting records of the taxpayer, and then finally upload the confirmed data of purchase. This I'll discuss in one of the slides later, so I'm restricting myself only to this much discussion. Let us move on to digital tax administration system. The GST system project is a unique and complex IT initiative taken by Indian government. It is unique as it seeks for the first time to establish a uniform interface for the taxpayer and a common and shared IT infrastructure between the center and the states. It will be digital tax administrative system where data will exchange between taxpayer and GST network on a near real-time basis. There will be no hard copy of returns filed at GST network. Starting from filing of return, all the returns will be filed at GST portal electronically. Then there will be e-accounting. GST portal will have electronic tax cash ledger and electronic tax credit ledger as well as electronic liability ledger for every taxpayer. Then there will be e-matching of data. Government can do data mining and use various tools for matching of invoice level data between the buyer and supplier. And thereafter, once the data of buyer and supplier is available at GST portal, then there will be automatic assessment also. It will, it will be a change in the assessment system. Like in the present system, the SSC has to go to the tax officer along with his counsel, submit all the details. This all will be avoided in this new tax administration system. Now, having said that, this is the point where digital disruption will come into picture. When the government has sales data from all the suppliers, government can calculate the tax liability of any taxpayer even if he has not filed his return. So this is the beauty of this system. Then secondly, taxpayer will get a very limited time window for downloading the data from GST portal and matching that with his own accounting record. Now, digital disruption is not something new. It is already here, and here are some of the examples of digital disruption which you can see on your screens. For example, world's largest taxi company today owns no taxi, Uber. And there are some more cases where digital disruption has changed the way the business has been done traditionally for decades. Now, let us see how this digital disruption can affect tax compliance and tax practitioners. For tax compliance, I have already told that even if the taxpayer doesn't file his return of income, since all the sales data from suppliers is available at GST portal, the government can make the tax assessment, send the notice of assessment to the taxpayer along with a penalty notice for tax evasion, even though he has not filed his tax return. That is the beauty of this system. Then the other area where digital disruption could affect is the tax practice. Friends, you have seen all the business process in the tax administration systems are automated. The returns will be prepared by software. It will be uploaded by the compliance software, downloaded by the compliance software. Reconciliation of data mismatch will be done by software. Then there will be e-matching automatically. Assessment will be automatically. So that there is a very limited role for human intervention. So when there is little role for human intervention, most of the GST rules will be incorporated in the compliance software itself. So it will adversely affect tax practitioners also. I am restricting myself to here only and leaving it to your guess. How much will it affect the tax practitioner? It will also have intelligence-based deterrence to control various frauds. Some of the frauds which will be controlled by the system are like, it will control fraudulent bills because there is matching of invoice level data between supplier and buyer. It will control improper input tax credit being claimed by the taxpayer, because unless the data between supplier and buyer matches, taxpayer will not get input tax credit. Fraudulent use of exemption rules will be controlled. False payment proof will also be controlled, because there will be data which will be directly coming from bank to GST system. So the chances of claiming the tax, submitting false payment proof can be controlled. Unrecorded sales will be checked. Misuse of composition method will be checked, because there will be data which will be coming from supplier and buyer. So a taxpayer cannot claim that his total turnover is beyond a threshold. Then under invoicing will be controlled. Non-existent dealers will be controlled, or ghost dealers whom we call. Wrongful application of lower tax rates will be controlled, because everything will be checked by the system itself. Now let us do a SWOT analysis of the digital tax administration system. It has strengths in the form of, it will reduce revenue leakage, because there will be a cross matching of data in case the taxpayer is submitting lower data. From the other side, data will be coming which will be given to taxpayer for verification. Then it will enable faster processing of returns, because everything is automated. Intelligence-based controls can be incorporated in the system itself, which will control various kinds of frauds. The weaknesses are like, it is dependent entirely on internet. We are sitting in Delhi, so we have good internet connection, but imagine the situation of interior places in India like Northeast, where internet connection may not be that good, or the speed of internet may not be that good. So there taxpayers will find it difficult to upload the data or download the data from GST server. The opportunities which the digital tax administration system offers are in two forms. One is development of compliance software. Second is return preparation and filing. Here I would like to have is that consultancy work will be reduced to appeal or revision level. Basic consultancy work will be avoided by the software, because return preparation and filing work is being done by the software itself. Now threats are that automation could adversely affect both to taxpayer and tax practitioners, which we have discussed earlier also. To taxpayers, that even if he doesn't file the return, the system will have all the data of his purchase and sale available in the system from his supplier and buyers, and his tax assessment can be made without his being filing the return. And for practitioners, because most of the basic work will be done by the software, most of the basic GST rules will be incorporated in the compliance software by way of artificial intelligence. So basic consultancy work will be done by the software himself. That is how it is affecting the practitioners. Now let us discuss about GST returns and filing process. For a regular taxpayer, there are 3 monthly returns and 1 annual return. So in total, he needs to file 37 returns. GSTR 1 return is details of outward supplies made by the taxpayer, and this he needs to file by 10th of every month. Here he can submit the details of his sales invoice either on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. He can save it on the portal so that he can avoid last minute rush. Then GSTR 2 is details of inward supply which the taxpayer has received. For this he needs to submit to the GST portal by 15th of subsequent month. GSTR 3 is monthly return which will have data of GSTR 1 and GSTR 2. This will be auto-populated from GSTR 1 and GSTR 2. And for filing GSTR 3, the taxpayer needs to deposit the tax liability which is calculated based on his monthly return. And then there is an annual return in the form of GSTR 9 which he needs to submit by 31st December of subsequent financial year. So these are the 4 returns which a regular taxpayer needs to file. Due to shortage of time, we are not discussing about the returns which are required to be filed by other SSEs. Now let us have a look at monthly return filing process. Step 1 is the taxpayer needs to upload the data of his outside supply of goods or services to GSP portal. Then on second step, he needs to download the data of his inward supply of goods and services from GST portal in the form of GSTR 2A. When he downloads the data of this his inward supplies, then he needs to match this with his own accounting reports. There may be some invoices which may not match between his accounting records and the data which he has downloaded. So he needs to do the reconciliation. And after the reconciliation is over, then he needs to submit GSTR 2 final form on GST portal. Then step number 5 is like he has first filed GSTR 1. So this GSTR 1 will go to his buyers. They will match this data with their own record and they will submit GSTR 1A. So this GSTR 1A, the taxpayer needs to download and then make addition, modification or deletion. And once this is completed, then he can upload GSTR 1A to GST portal. So the data of purchase and sale after reconciliation has been uploaded at GST portal. Then comes the next step, which is reconciliation of electronic credit ledger and electronic cash ledger. So taxpayer needs to reconcile these two ledgers and match it with his electronic his tax liability which is available in electronic liability ledger. And in case there is any shortfall, he needs to deposit the balance amount to the bank. Once the payment of taxes is done, then he can upload the GSTR 3. So this is the complete process which a taxpayer needs to follow every month for filing 3 returns. Now here we have the flow chart which explains the movement of transaction, one single transaction in GST returns which we have discussed in earlier slide. A orders for supply of goods to B. So here the transaction begins. Then B supplies goods to A, for example say on July 1. Then B files on-rail return of goods sold at GSTN in the form of GSTR 1. Remember, only data of sales is being submitted to GSTN portal. So the deadline for submission of GSTR 1 is August 10. Then GSTN will generate form GSTR 2A giving details of filed by B through form GSTR 1, and A needs to confirm the detail filed by B. A will match the details. In case the detail match, he will file form GSTR 2 and confirm the details. GSTN will auto-populate form GSTR 3A monthly return based on the data contained in GSTR 1 and GSTR 2, and it will be provided to both A and B. Both A and B will submit their monthly return in the form of GSTR 3, pay their taxes, and the deadline for this is August 20. But suppose the details don't match, then A uploads form GSTR 2 with missing details. GSTN generates GSTR 1A with missing details for A. For this will be done by August 16. Then B files GSTR 1. GSTN auto-populates form GSTR 3A based on the data contained in GSTR 1 and GSTR 2 and provides it to both A and B. Then the same process is followed. Suppose B doesn't agree, then what happens? GSTN will generate form GST ITC1 giving final chance to both A and B for reconciliation. If there is no agreement by August 30, input tax credit will be denied to A for the amount of under dispute. Then both A and B will file return GSTN 9 by December 31, 2018 and the transaction ends. Now let us discuss about GSTN returns, how these returns can be filed following three simple steps. The first step is that you prepare your sales invoice which is tax compliant, which has all the information which is required under GST rule, and you get ready with your GSTR1 which is the data of your sales invoices. Step number 2 is you enter all your purchase and bills contra to tax invoice and get ready with your GSTR2. Then step number 3 is you keep your GST cash ledger, GST credit ledger matching with the GST outstanding amount. Once this is done, you need to make the payment and your GSTR3 or monthly return is ready for filing. So simple 3 steps, if you follow it, your return can be filed very easily. Now the first step itself, there was a key aspect, your sales invoice should be compliant with all the rules which are there for tax invoice. For example, name of the supplier, his GSTN number, then name of the buyer, his GSTN number, name of the consignee, his address and GSTN number, description of goods, HSN code, quantity, rate, total amount, taxable value, rate of tax, CGST and both SGST, tax amount, taxable value. Then last, signatures. Signatures, it could be physical signature or digital signature, whatever way the government notifies. Now one more thing which we have discussed in those 3 steps was electronic cash ledger or credit ledger. I'll spend a brief time to explain what is electronic cash ledger and what is electronic credit ledger, which is being maintained by GSTN for every taxpayer at GST portal. Amount deposited by the taxpayer in the bank towards central or state government tax dues is credited in his electronic cash ledger, and this payment can be utilized towards payment of major heads like taxes. Taxes could be CGST, IGST or UTGST, towards payment of interest, and payment of interest will also be having subheads, payment of penalty, payment of fees or any other amount which is liable under GST rules. Then input tax credit ledger is the amount of input tax credit claimed by a taxpayer is credited in his electronic credit ledger after it is reconciled with the data which is submitted by his supplier. Once it is credited in his electronic credit ledger, then he can utilize it towards payment of taxes only. Now another key area in return filing process is reconciliation of data mismatch. So because there is a mismatch of invoice level data between supplier and buyer, there will be some invoices which may not be matching. So for those invoices, reports can be downloaded from GST server. For example, on your screen you can see we have 3 invoices where the taxable value given by the receiver and supplier is not matching. Its impact is on input tax credit claimed and which is available. So there is a mismatch in the credit of rupees 2000 in the case of first invoice, 4000 in case of second invoice and 6000 in case of third invoice. Now the taxpayer needs to reconcile it. In case there is an error from his supplier's side, he needs to communicate with him, get the data corrected, and then once reconciliation is done, he needs to upload it to the GST portal. Similarly, the supplier's mismatch report can also be downloaded from GST portal. Again, we have 3 invoices which are not matching. There is a difference in taxable value which the supplier has provided to GST portal and the receiver has provided. So this has effect on tax liability, and the difference is 2000 in case of first invoice, 1000 in case of second and 400 in case of third invoice. So this the taxpayer needs to reconcile and then submit at GST portal. Now here I would like to add one thing is, see, it looks very easy. seeing it on the screen, reconciling the data mismatch for only 3 invoices. Now imagine a situation where a medium-sized organization has say about 1000 invoices every day, 500 for purchase, 500 for sale. So his total monthly invoices will be something around 30,000. And in case there is a data mismatch in only 10% items, unreconciled invoices will be something around 3,000. So reconciling those 3,000 invoices within the limited time which is allowed can only be done by using software applications. It cannot be done manually. So here the quality of software, compliance software which the taxpayer is using is also important. In case software is of good quality, it can reconcile within few minutes. In case software is not good, it will not be able to reconcile the complete data. Now for preparing GST returns, the taxpayer has got 2 options. One option is like it can use the compliance software for preparing its return. So he need to enter the invoice level data of his sales in the software itself, then upload the return to GST portal. Similarly, it can download the data, auto-populated data in the form of GSTR2 in CSV or Excel format, then match it with the data which is lying in his accounting record and then upload the data again to GST portal. So this is the one option which a taxpayer can use. This will be mostly for the small taxpayers where the number of invoices is limited and data can be manually entered into compliance software itself. In case of large taxpayers where the accounting systems are separately maintained, which are in the form of say Tally, ERP or any of the other customized accounting software, here the data of sales and purchase register can be exported to compliance software in Excel or CSV format. Then compliance software can prepare the return and upload the data in CSV or Excel format to GST portal. From there it will go to GST server. Similarly, compliance software can download the data from GST portal in Excel or CSV format, then reconcile the data with the data which it has got or received from ERP or accounting softwares, and after reconciliation, one is it can upload the return to GST portal, second is it can provide the confirmed data to ERP systems for making necessary corrective entries. So these are the 2 options which are available to a taxpayer for preparing his return. In case of large taxpayers, option 2 seems to be most viable option. Now if in case you are at LinkedIn, you need to update your knowledge on GST about various rules or discuss about various problems, I have created a group, GST knowledge sharing group. You can join this group and share your problems, gain the experience from others' problem. Now with this, the first presentation on practical aspect of GST ends. Now in case you have any questions on this presentation, we can take up them one by one, and then I'll try to show you a live demo of return preparation using compliance software. Hello, do we have any questions please? Hello. Okay, I'll wait for some more time. In case we don't have any questions, we'll try to move on to second presentation or the GST return preparation using compliance software. Or maybe in the end also we can have a Q&A session where you can ask if there are any questions. I'll try to answer them. Now the second topic for today's session is GST returns preparation using software applications. So our agenda for this session is options for preparing returns, which we have discussed in the previous presentation also, then preparing GST returns and filing of GST returns. In the end we'll have a Q&A session. So in case you have any query or question on both the presentations or both the topics, we can take those questions together in the end also. Now options, there are 2 options which I have just discussed in the previous session also. Option 1, entering the invoice level data in the software Then option 2 is importing the data from ERPs and other accounting softwares and then preparing return. Now we can straight away go to preparing GST returns using compliance software. So for this purpose we have Gov Reports compliance software. It's an Australian company and leader in GST solutions, leading GST solution provider there, and SBR or XBRL based regulatory compliance reporting platform, and they are leading. So it's a tested platform which they have customized to suit Indian GST rules requirement. So let's start with the login. Okay, you can put your ID and password and login. It's a cloud-based system. As I've told you in the beginning, one of the weakness of this digital tax administration is that it is entirely based on internet. In case the internet speed is slow, taxpayer will have difficulty in filing his monthly returns in time. Now when you log in, this is the first screen which comes. Here on the left hand side you have the menu for your office, My Desk. You have various dashboards, reports overview, GST job management, clients overview, TRP overviews. So it provides you summarized information of all these aspects. And second one is My Business. So here you can put the information about your organization, upload your logo, provide your PAN, GST number, name, then contact details, address, everything you can provide over here. And then after My Business you have My Clients. So here you can add your clients by just clicking over here. You can write the name, his particular GST number, PAN number, trading number, display name, and then save it. So this is how you can add on clients. You can also create authorized users or your staff. You can authorize your staff who will be preparing the various returns. Then you can also define their role. You can provide them various users right, users permission, what all he is permitted to do, whether he can have administrative privileges or not, can he add or clients or not, or it will be done by administrator only. He can simply do data entry or return preparation and uploading work. Now from My Clients you can select one of the client for whom you want to prepare the return or download the data from GST portal. So here you get his profile on the screen, and on the right hand side you have ledger. So when you click at the ledger, it takes you to this client's sales and purchase menu, where the data of his sales can be uploaded in the compliance software or imported. So this is the dashboard which comes on your screen. Here you have GST status for February month, cash receivables, payables, GST ledger in the form of summarized information which is available at a glance to you, cash ledger, tax liability, input tax credit about this client. So at a glance you come to know about what is happening with this client. Then you have a quick start guide also here. When you click here, this guide comes. It shows you how you can use Gov Reports software for preparing GST returns. You need to read it before you start using the software. Now on the left hand side you have menu for sales, customers. So here you can add customers by just clicking here. So you need to provide all the details about this customer over here, whether he is registered or he is registered, unregistered. If he is registered, you need to put his GSTN number, his business name, then the owner's name, last name, then display name, and all the contact details also you can provide here. Then once the customer's profile is created, then you can enter estimates, you can enter sales order, you can also enter advance payment if any made, and then comes the important area of invoices. So you can create invoice for the customer. So here we have some invoices which have already been created. I'll try to show you how you can create an invoice. So serial number of invoice, this will be system generated invoice number. as per GST rules. So this will be provided by the system itself. Now since it is the test purpose data and we are entering the data for March month only, which is allowed by GSTN for test purposes, we are going into the month of March. We are providing say 30th March as the date. Customer name we need to select, so it will the drop down window will show you who all are the customers. You can select the customer's name. For example, this one I have selected. So from his profile, his other contact details and all will be downloaded in the system. It will be appearing in the invoice. Then you need to enter the particulars. So HSN code is appearing. Now is rate you can manually assign, say 10,000 I'm giving. So now system will automatically calculate the CGST and SGST. See, this is what is being fed into the system, fed into the software, that based on the data which we have put in tax invoice about the buyer, system will automatically calculate its tax rate, apply the tax rate and calculate the tax liability. So now tax invoice has been added. This is a draft invoice, so we need to mark as sent. Okay, so now this has been sent, transaction is completed, mark transaction, mark as sent. So then it will be added in the list of monthly sales invoices. Similarly, you can enter the data for purchases or inward supply of goods. So for inward supply of goods, first of all you need to add the supplier's particulars. So here for example we are creating a supplier. He is a regular supplier. Okay, his GSTN number we need to give. GSTN number we can select some of the GSTN number which the GST system has provided for test purposes. Here some of the GSTN number they have provided which we can use. So we are selecting, say this number we have selected. Now we need to give the name. Similarly, all other particulars can be provided and data can be saved. Since we are not providing the complete details, the system will not allow you to move further. So these are the checks which have been provided in the software. You need to provide his email address. Okay, his phone number you need to provide, address you need to provide. Phone number, say I am giving Delhi address and I am providing 21234567 phone area code. Okay, then mobile number also you need to provide, address line. Now here city is important because based on the city, system will decide whether the customer needs to pay SGST plus CGST or he needs to pay IGST. Then you need to also provide code. Once you have completed all the data, then only system will allow you to save it. So these are some of the simple checks which have been built into the software to check that your tax invoice is prepared correctly. Okay, GSTN, see this is another check. It is saying GSTN UIN number already exists. Means ki we have already used this sample GSTN number which the GSTN has provided us to use for the purpose of creating test data. So I am just skipping this portion and moving on to bills. So here you can add invoices by just simply clicking here. A drop down window will appear. Here you need to select the name of supplier who has supplied material to you. His address will come. Serial number of bill you need to provide. This is supposed to be unique number. I am just putting some random number 145, and date of bill again we need to have date as March 2017 because only March 17 data is accepted by the system for test purpose. Item detail we need to provide HSN code. So I'll say machinery, HSN code has come, quantity is 1, value I say put 50,000. Then based on the information which we have provided here about the supplier, it will automatically calculate tax liability. Now here, since it is interstate transaction, it has applied IGST and calculated the tax liability and amount. Then we can save it. So bill has been added, and one more thing we need to do is we need to send it. So you can also report the payment, then in case there is some error you can delete it. So this is how you can upload the invoice level data of sales and purchase in the compliance software. Then based on the data which you have fed into this compliance software, it will prepare your accounts. So these are the chart of accounts, head of account which are available in the system. Basically it will be for small taxpayer who can use this compliance software as this accounting software also. Then there are various reports which can be generated by this compliance software. I'll just quickly try to show you those reports. It will give you a transaction of all the data which you have fed into the system. With the limited number of transactions, it is giving the trial balance. Same way there are other reports also. You can have general ledger summary. Again, this will be applicable in case of small taxpayer only. For large taxpayer, because they will be maintaining their accounts on separate accounting system, ERP systems, this compliance software will only do the work of preparing and filing of returns. It can also prepare profit and loss account with the limited number of transactions which we have put into this system. Then it can also prepare balance sheet. So these are all the reports which can be generated using this compliance software. Now let us come to the returns. As I have told in the beginning that the taxpayer needs to file only one return, which is GSTR1 or invoice level data of his outward supply. So based on the data of sales invoice which we have fed into this software, it will create GSTR1. So this is the dashboard for GSTR1. You can see, you can also drill down it to invoice level. So once all the data for GSTR1 is put into the software, compliance software, by just one click of button you can prepare your GSTR1 and you can save it on GST portal by clicking here. Is this icon? Yes, you want to save. So it is connecting to the server. So server will ask for OTP which will come on the mobile phone which you have registered, but since it is testing is going on, the GSTN has provided a OTP which we can use. So we submit this OTP for authentication purpose. It seems either the internet connection is slow or there is heavy traffic at GSTN portal. Oh, now authentication process is completed successfully. Please try now. So after the authentication process is over, we can click on this icon and file the GSTR1 which we have prepared based on the invoice level data which we have put into the compliance software. So this is the tax GSTR1 test data which is uploaded in the form of GSTR1 at portal. It is asking to submit. Yes. And then okay, there are still some items which is saying try preparing this. Okay. Save GSTR1. Yes. Okay. Saved, and then we can go on filing. Now it is saying GSTR1 has been successfully filed. So that means there was one invoice data which was not saved at GST portal. So a warning came from the portal that there is some data which is not yet saved in the system and which needs to be uploaded in GSTR1. So this is how GSTR1 can be filed. Now let us look at the other portion of which is downloading of data. That is inward supply of goods or services. We are already connected to GST portal. This is the sample test data which is downloaded from GST portal. Now here you can click here and you can drill down to invoice level data. These invoices you can match with your accounting records. and you have the option to accept, modify or delete. Once this is done, then you can accept it and then upload it. Similarly, GSTR 1A, which your buyers have matched with their records and then uploaded the data at GST portal. So this will come to you in the form of GSTR 1A, which you can download from GST portal. Now here also again you can drill down all the information to invoice level by just clicking on this icon. See, now the action here is whatever action you need to do, either it can be accept or it can be reject. So you want to accept this invoice uploaded by the receiver? Yes. So it will make the necessary changes in this is accepted. So this is how you reconcile the data mismatch, and once all the invoices are reconciled, then you can upload it to GST portal. Then comes a monthly return. Monthly return will be auto-populated based on the information or data which taxpayer has provided in the form of GSTR 1 and GSTR 2. Now here again you can drill down all the information which is coming on your dashboard to invoice level data. Similarly, tax credit, you can drill down the information how this tax credit is coming, match it with your records. Tax paid details, you can see what all tax has been paid or deposited for current period, for previous periods. This is liability on account of mismatch of data. So this is important. See, since this is all test data, you will find some vague figures. This data is coming from GST portal, and once you reconcile all the information or data which needs to be reconciled, then your monthly return is ready, and then you can file the return. So this was for one portion where the data is being put into the compliance software and return is being prepared using the compliance software. So the process is simple, so it is user friendly. At the moment the other functionality at GSTN portal itself is not ready, so I am unable to show you the complete functionality of the software which is available. So with this I think the live report creation portion also ends. Now in case you have any questions, we can take up all those one by one. You can please ask any questions, please. Hello, are there any queries relating to the two presentations which I have given, and try to keep it very brief. Hello, yes please. Haji.
Yeah, Ramakrishna Sango is having some doubts on your PowerPoint 1.
Okay.
So if you
please.
can raise the questions, we can answer them.
Yes, please. Yeah, please go ahead with your question. Or you want me to open the PowerPoint presentation first? Yes, please ask your question. I can take you to that slide and then answer.
Yeah, I need to get the question from Ramakrishna. Please.
Mr. Ramakrishna, your question please.
Okay.
Just check up your system in case you have muted yourself. The voice will not come to us.
Okay, so Mr. Ramakrishna is sending this question. What about uploading from Tally to software?
Okay, that is, see, we have shown two options. One was this option 2. I'll take you to that particular slide and try to show you. See, this is option 2 where sales register and purchase register from Tally can be exported and it can be imported in the compliance software in Excel or CSV format, and thereafter all those invoice level data of sales and purchase will be available in compliance software, which we have put by way of manual entry. Now once this invoice level data is available, then GSTR1 can be automatically prepared by the software and it can be uploaded at the portal. Similarly, for GSTR2, data can be downloaded from GST portal and then it can be matched with the data of invoice level data of purchase, which software compliance software has imported from Tally system. Once the reconciliation of mismatched data is over, then the reconciled data can be uploaded to GST portal.
Okay. Another query from Mr. Sasank Jain. Sir, how to
Ramakrishna,
account
in
for
fact,
sales?
Just one second, Raj. Mr. Ramakrishna, if you want to see it in more detail, we are organizing one full webinar on this portion, like how GST, how various returns can be prepared using any software. The next webinar is on 23rd of this month, so you can attend that webinar. I'll try to show in detail how this software functionality will work when data is imported from either ERP, SAP, or any other customized accounting system. We'll show in full detail. Any other
Hello.
questions, please?
Yeah, the Ramakrishna is asking, sir, how to account for sales written in these returns? In the returns.
Okay, accounting for sales return in this accounting will be done. See, once you issue tax invoice, then you cannot modify it, or only the option you have is to issue debit note and credit note.
Okay. So the question is again, what if there is a mismatch at this level?
Mismatch at this level, see, in case there is a mismatch, then the taxpayer needs to first of all reconcile from its record, and in case the error is on his part, then he need to correct it. In case the error is on the other party side, then he needs to communicate with him and ask him to rectify his data. Once the other party rectifies his data, the correct data will be at GST portal, then rectified data can be submitted.
So these are all the questions. If there is any questions.
In
Next
fact,
question is,
these all questions I am trying to answer you with the knowledge which we have gained about this system or the working based on the information which is provided by GST. At the moment, these all functionalities are available only on a very limited basis. So we ourselves can't test every data, we ourselves can't reconcile it.
okay, Mr. Ramakrishna again asking you, go to the
Yes.
flow chart of the first PowerPoint and explain again, please.
Flow chart of transaction. Okay.
Yeah, that you gave one full page how the transactions are taking place, right?
Okay, here. See the
this
transaction.
looks-
Suppose this one, na? Now the picture diagram has come on your screens.
Yeah, it's that.
Okay. See, A orders for supply of goods to B. So this is the point from where the transaction begins. B supplies the goods to A, say on July 1. Then after the end of the month, B needs to file the online return of goods sold to A in the form of GSTR1. This needs to be filed by August 10th. Then GSTN will auto-populate GSTR2A, which A needs to confirm based on the details filed by the B. Here, suppose A matches the details and details match, then A will file form GSTR2 and confirm to the GSTN. Then GSTN will auto-populate GSTR3A, which is the monthly return, and send it to the taxpayers. And this GSTR3A will be prepared based on the GSTR1 and GSTR2. And then both A and B will have to file monthly return in the form of GSTR3, and for this the deadline is August 20. This is the simple case where there is no mismatch of data. In case the details don't match, then A uploads form GSTR2 with missing details. Here the deadline is August 15. Then GSTN will generate GSTR1A with missing details for A. Here again, in case B agrees, we will file revised GSTR1, and then GSTN will auto-populate the data in monthly return in the form of GSTR3A, which will be sent to both the taxpayers, and if they accept, then return is filed after the payment of taxes. Suppose here the B does not agree, then GSTN will generate ITC1 giving a final chance to A and B for reconciliation. If there is no agreement, then input tax credit will be denied to A for the amount under dispute, and then the process is same. It will be given to both the taxpayers for filing of their monthly return, and in the end it will be filing of annual return. This all we are based on the rules which are provided, we have tried to prepare. We are ourselves yet to see how this transaction will flow in the system, because at the moment platform itself is in half complete stage.
Okay, so one more question from Mr. Sasan. Can you please explain the cash ledger and the credit ledger again?
See, electronic cash ledger, see, every taxpayer will have two ledgers. One is electronic cash ledger and another is electronic credit ledger. Electronic cash ledger will have amount deposited by the taxpayer in the account. This deposit could be for the major head like taxes, and within taxes there could be major subheads also. Subheads will be in the form of, say, CGST, IGST or UTGST. Similarly, for interest also there will be subheads. Then payment could also be for penalty, fees or any other amount. So whatever amount the taxpayer is depositing in cash, this will be credited in electronic cash ledger. And electronic credit ledger is for ITC which the taxpayer is claiming on his purchases. So on his purchases, when the data of invoice level data is matching between supplier and buyer, the amount of ITC will be credited in his electronic credit ledger, which he can utilize for payment of taxes. Am I clear now? Mr. Ramkrishna, is this clear now?
Shashank, Mr. Shashank.
Mr. Shashank, am I able to clear your doubts now?
Yes, sir. That's the answer. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, please?
Okay.
See, we can have one more session once the system has full functionality going on. Then we can, we can try to show you how practically one transaction is moving, how this reconciliation, how this electronic cash ledger and electronic credit ledger are being shown by the GST portal itself for a taxpayer, how we are doing reconciliation with our own accounts. But at the moment, since there is a limited functionality which is available at GST portal, based on our knowledge and based on our reading, we have tried to put this slide. This is how this electronic cash ledger and electronic credit ledger will function.
Okay. So one more question from Mr. Ramakrishna. At
Yes.
what time the credit will go and sit in electronic credit ledger? Is it at the time of filing GSTR2 or GSTR3?
No, I could not follow the question. What point of time is?
Okay. At what time my credit will go and sit in the electronic credit ledger? Is it at the time of filing GSTR2 or GSTR3? If you want, I can answer this question. So,
No, I think if you can answer will be good.
yes. So whenever you create a tax invoice or entering a bill, you can always file with the GSTN. That will not directly go into the credit ledger. But when you submit GSTR2 or GSTR3, only at the time of GSTR3, your credit ledger will be updated with the data. Is this okay, Mr. Ramakrishna? Yeah, you can always check. What you have to do is just use our trial version of this Gov reports, and you can go inside and put all the data, and you can see that one. Whether it is going to the GSTM or not, you can always check. It is only testing version. So when it was presenting, Vinod was presenting the GSTR1, GSTR2, you can see file the return is different, just updating the data is different.
Any other questions, please?
So I think the questions are over.
Questions are over. So now what we
Yeah,
can do is,
yes.
Raj, we can we can provide them the trial version license, so they can
Yeah.
they can sit down in their own computer system. They can sit down on their own computer systems, try their own hand to see how
Yeah.
the transactions are moving in the compliance software, how the GSTR1 is
Yeah.
prepared, how the GSTR2
Yes,
can be
yes.
downloaded. But with the limited functionality which is available at GSTN portal, for sample test data only. You know, but they will be able to get, get a feel of how the software is functioning. What all, basic controls are there in the software. Okay, they can practice it because government will not give time. We have that experience of demonetization when Modi ji at 8 o'clock in the night made an announcement that from 12th of midnight, this 1,000 rupees will be invalid. It will not be accepted.
Yes.
So on 1st of July, he will come and say, from today you need to file GST return.
Yes,
From today,
yes,
all
yes.
those indirect taxes have been subsumed by GST.
Yeah.
So we need to be prepared in advance.
Yeah, the participants, if you are willing to use the trial version, we need the email addresses as well as the contact numbers so that we can create trial versions for the participants and we can call them and confirm with them how it will be used from their side. If there is any queries or clarification required, they can always call us. We will be always there to help you out.
Any other questions, please? In case you have some
Find out
more
how
questions.
this system can be effective.
Pardon? I could not hear, please.
Okay, so I think we have time now. We have completed the webinar now.
Okay.
It is our
In case you have
great
any,
pleasure.
in case you have any further question, you can please send us a mail. We will try to answer all your questions, all your queries within next 24 hours.
Okay, with this we will conclude our webinar. Thank you very much for the presentation, Vinod ji. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.